You know, there's a revolution happening right now, but it's not in some lab or on a server farm. It's happening out in our forests. We're talking about a completely new way of fighting deforestation and healing the massive scars left by wildfires. So let's get into it.
To really get why this is so urgent, you have to understand the scale of the problem we're facing. Look at this number. 2.5 million. That is the average number of hectares of forest that Canada alone loses to wildfires every single year. That's a truly staggering amount of land, and it represents billions of trees just gone, year after year.
And that really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? I mean, how can we possibly keep up? You know, the image of people planting seedlings by hand is really inspiring, but the hard reality is it's just too slow, it's too expensive, and frankly, it's often way too dangerous to even start to make a dent in a problem this big. It's like we're trying to fight a forest fire with a water pistol.
So let's start by digging into the challenge itself, because we really are in a race against the clock here. And the old ways of doing things, well, they just can't keep pace anymore. I mean, just try to picture the logistics. To get to these remote, burned out landscapes, you often need helicopters. The cost just skyrockets. The ground itself is incredibly treacherous, and to plant the number of trees we actually need, you'd need a literal army of people working around the clock. How is that sustainable? It's not. The math just doesn't add up.
So where do you even start? Well, the solution, and this might surprise you, it doesn't begin with a fancy machine. It starts with the seed. It turns out, before you can plant faster, you've got to plant smarter. You have to give every single seed the absolute best shot at survival.
Okay, so this is a really foundational piece of the puzzle. The best way to think of a seed ball is like a tiny, personal life support system. Instead of just scattering bare seeds out there where they can get eaten or just dry out, you encase them in this protective, nutrient-rich ball of soil, compost, and clay. It's kind of like sending them off to school with a packed lunch and a Coke.
And here's where it gets really brilliant, because this solves a huge mechanical problem. See, a lot of native seeds are tiny and all sorts of weird shapes. They're basically impossible for any automated machine to handle properly. But seed pelleting, it coats them, creating this perfectly uniform round shape that's just ideal for high-speed automated planting.
So what's the bottom line here? It's that we've gone from a pretty low-tech, low-success method to something way more advanced and effective. These enhanced seeds, they're basically armored. They're designed for machines, and most importantly, their survival rates are way, way higher. We've completely upgraded the basic building block of reforestation.
All right, so now we've got these incredible super seeds. The next question is pretty obvious. How do we get them in the ground at a massive scale and at an incredible speed? Well, this is where the drones come in.
Say hello to the new generation of tree planters. This drone from a company called Flash Forest is a whole different beast from the kind of drone you might fly in your backyard. No, these are heavy-duty, autonomous workhorses. They are built for one single mission: to plant forests at a scale we've never seen before. Okay, and this is the part you really have to understand. It is the most critical distinction. The first ideas for drone planting were basically just crop dusting. You just fly over and drop seeds and hope for the best. This new tech, it's so much smarter. It doesn't just drop seeds, it actively plants them.
And you can see the result right here. The drones use this special firing mechanism to actually embed the seed pods directly into the soil. That one action protects them from getting washed away by rain or eaten by animals, and it just dramatically boosts their chances of growing. It's the difference between wishing for a forest and actually physically planting one.
The kind of scale this technology unlocks is it's mind-boggling. A single pilot can operate a swarm of drones that together can plant up to 40,000 seed pods in one day. Now, compare that to maybe a few hundred a human can plant. You start to see how we can finally begin to catch up.
And this isn't some random spray and pray operation either. It's a precise, data-driven mission. First, mapping drones fly over the area, and they use AI to figure out the absolute best spots to plant each seed. Then, software calculates the most efficient flight paths for the planting drones. And it doesn't stop there. After the mission, they can even fly back over to monitor the new seedlings, tracking how well they're surviving. It's a full cycle system.
Okay, so this tech is amazing. But who's gonna pay for it, right? I mean, fleets of advanced drones, massive seed production, that's not cheap. So where does the money come from? Well, the answer is in a business model that is just as innovative as the technology itself. At the heart of this whole new economy is something called a carbon credit. The simplest way to think about it is this: a company that puts carbon into the air can pay to offset that by buying a credit from a project that takes carbon out of the air. And what's one of the best ways to pull carbon out of the atmosphere? You guessed it, planting a whole lot of trees.
But here's the catch. To sell that carbon credit, you have to prove, like really prove, that you're legitimately removing carbon. And that's where this crucial acronym comes in. MRV. It stands for Measurement, Reporting, and Verification. And it's basically the gold standard that makes the whole carbon market trustworthy.
So let's just break that down real quick. Measurement is where they use drones and satellites to get super precise data on how many trees are growing and how much carbon they're absorbing. Reporting is just compiling all that data into a standardized format that everyone can understand. And finally, verification. That's when a totally independent third party comes in, audits everything, and certifies that yes, these carbon credits are real and the numbers are accurate.
And this is where it all clicks together to create this amazing, virtuous cycle. A company like Reforestation, they used to be called Drone Seed. They don't just plant trees. They measure, report, and verify the carbon those trees capture. Then they sell those verified credits. And that revenue goes directly into funding the next big planting project. So you get more trees, which means more credits, which means more funding for more trees.
And you better believe the financial world is sitting up and taking notice. Reforestation just closed a $25 million funding round. This shows this isn't some niche little science project anymore. This is a scalable, venture-backed business model that serious investors believe in, one that can generate real profits and have a huge positive impact on the planet.
So
where is all of this heading? What does this tech-powered future actually look like? Well, what we're seeing is this incredible convergence of biology, robotics, AI software, and even finance, all working together to create a brand new toolkit for healing our planet.
I mean, just check out this quote from Mast's CEO. It really shows you the next level of thinking here. They're not just planting new trees. They're looking at something called wood vaulting, basically burying the charred wood from burned trees to permanently lock that carbon in the ground. It's a wild idea that turns a post-fire hazard into another way to capture carbon.
And the trajectory here is it's incredibly steep and ambitious. We're seeing major funding deals, and then you see these audacious goals like Flash Forest aiming to plant 1 billion trees by 2028. This isn't science fiction, this is their actual business plan.
So this all leaves us with a pretty powerful question to think about. For a long, long time, we've kind of seen technology as this force that often works against the natural world. But what if that's finally changing? What we're seeing here might just be the beginning of a powerful fusion of innovation aimed squarely at healing and restoring our planet. This could be the start of an entirely new, restorative partnership between our technology and our ecology.